Hello guys, very good morning. So am I audible? Can you please confirm me that?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, hello everyone. So how are you all? I hope everyone are doing good. So before I go into the concept of the Terraform and Jenkins, let me introduce about myself. I'm Chaitanya. I will be your trainer for the next 15 or 10 days of the session. So what we are going to learn in this session? So we are going to learn the concept of Terraform and Jenkins. Okay. Before I go into the concepts of Terraform and Jenkins, can you please introduce about yourself so that I can understand what is the category of my candidates, so that I'll try to explain you in very detail about the concepts. Anyone, can you please start introducing about yourself?
So, myself, Anil Alam, I have 18 years of experience in Java. Currently, I'm
Mm-hmm.
working as an architect.
Okay. You're working as an architect. Okay, cool. So you are planning to create the infrastructure or what?
Yeah, so till now, I'm working for a projects, Java projects. Now I got a chance uh, to architect the infrastructure as well. I mean, to provision the environments
Okay.
for deploying the applications in a huge way. I mean, huge environments. I need to provision it. So for that one, I wanted to use Terraform. So I do not know anything about Terraform. Just wants to learn Terraform so that I can architect using Terraform as well.
Good, good. Let's understand about what was that. Okay.
Sorry,
Thanks, Anil.
sorry.
Yeah, let us go and understand about what is
Okay.
Terraform and how we are going to provision that. Okay.
So,
Thanks,
so,
Anil.
so, so just before going into that, so
Hmm.
which cloud you are going to use? Are you going to use any cloud to provision the environments?
That I will tell you.
Okay.
So just stay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, hi Chaitanya. Good morning.
Hi, Krant Kumar.
This is
Good
Kranti.
morning.
This is Kranti. So I have
Yeah.
total 15 years of experience. So currently I'm
Mm-hmm.
working in the AWS cloud operations.
Okay.
I know the basics of Terraform, but I would like to dive more into Terraform and maybe I can
Mm-hmm.
uh, project myself as a service improvement plan in my project to introduce Terraform and provision the resources through Terraform.
Cool. Yeah, we will understand what we are going. I mean, with the help of Terraform, what we are going to do with that.
Yes.
So, yeah, once we go into the concept of, explaining you about the syllabus, you will come to know about what you will learn in the Terraform. So, just stay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Hi Chaitanya, this is Manikumar Pangaluri. So I
Hmm.
have 3 years of experience in cloud DevOps engineer. So I'm currently
Okay.
working in Philips. So right now I want to brush my skills with Terraform and Jenkins. So this is the reason to joining for this call.
Cool.
Hi Chaitanya, good morning. This is Vishnuvardhan Patapati. I have
Good
overall
morning,
10
Vishnu.
years of experience in IT and I'm acting as a tech lead. I joined this course because I need to get more grip on Terraform and Jenkins. In
Hmm.
my area, like a lot of applications, they're using Terraform and Jenkins. That reason I
Hmm.
joined here. Thanks.
Good. Okay. Uh, I hope. Yeah. Go on, Ramakrishna.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, Chaitanya.
Hi.
So
Hi.
this is Ramakrishna. Actually, I have 11 years of experience in Java, and
Mm-hmm.
currently I'm working as a technical lead. So I had a experience in other tools in the DevOps like Jenkins and Ansible and regarding that one, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't have even knowledge on Terraform. So
Okay.
currently my project requirement is also Terraform, so that's why I want to learn Terraform. So that is the reason
Cool.
I joined.
Oh, okay. Okay, guys. It's very nice to meet you on this platform. So, let us go ahead and discuss about what is this Terraform and what we are going to do with this Terraform. And so, before we go into the concept of Terraform and Jenkins, first of all, let us understand about the software development lifecycle. Everyone will think about that, but what is the very, very important thing? Okay, so as in the developer's perspective, as per the developer's perspective, developer need to have a very good knowledge about how to create the application, how to write the source code, and what I can say, how to build it, how to build the application. Okay, so these are very important. But when you come to the administrator point of view, okay, administrator point of view or also architect point of view, what is very important? So in this point of view, very important, what is very important is that we need to create the infrastructure in the sense how we can create the resources. Okay, either it might be servers, either it might be what I can say, storage configurations. So these are all comes under the infrastructure concept. Now, when you see in the if you go back to some 1990s or else 2000 at this particular era, we don't have all these kind of things like AWS, or else we don't have DevOps, we don't have any term called as or I can say Terraform infrastructure building. So we used to have only system administrations. So we used to have system admins. So where I came also. So I started my career as a system engineer, and then I became as a system administrator, senior system administrator. Later I worked with the DevOps, and right now I'm a DevSecOps engineer, senior DevSecOps engineer in a top class MNC company. But the point is that when I go back to my actual thing, so we used to have only the system administrators or else system engineers. So what they are going to do in general, what happens? Let us understand that in a clear-cut manner, and then we will go back to the Terraform. So you know about this. There are two companies are available. Only there are two companies are there across the world. Either that is IT company, and the other one is a non-IT company. And this non-IT people cannot create the application. So what they are going to do, they will approach to the IT company and they will ask that to create an application for their non-IT sector. So now here, let us suppose take there is a bank is there. Okay, and here we have an IT company. Now, what the bank is going to do, they will come to the IT company, they will approach an IT company and they will say that we need to have an application for my customers so that they can have a seamless banking experience. So there will be two teams. In general, there are two teams in the IT industry. One is the development team and the other one is the operations team. Of course, testing team will come under the development itself. Okay, so dev team and as well as the operations team. So everyone will sit together in a conference and they will discuss about what is what and what are the requirements and everything. So the development team will talk about all the technicalities related to the development of application, like which platform we have to use, what should be the front end, what should be the back end, what should be the runtime. So everything is going to be discussed. And once everything is discussed, then the operations team will come into the picture. They will ask that whether you are having any infrastructure, inbuilt infrastructure is there, or else do we need to provide any infrastructure? Do we have, or also you have any servers or not? So do we have to provision the servers? So everything will be discussed. So once they have done the discussion, then they will finalize the project, and the project will be handled by this IT company. Now here comes the main challenge. What is the challenge means? So the operations team has to maintain the servers. So for example, there is a bank called as SBI, HDFC, any bank you take. So if they approach to the IT company and say that we need to deploy an application, so now the operations team has to create a server. So in the good olden days, it is not very easy for us to deploy a server. Why? Because we don't have these technologies called as virtualization. We don't have the technologies called as cloud. in 1990s and 2000 era. So what operations team is going to do here is, first of all, they have to put in, first of all, they have to take the entire requirement from the development team. How much amount of CPU, the application required, how much amount of RAM the application is required, and how much amount of storage is required. So everything they have to calculate depending on total number of microservices. If you see here, an application, whenever we are developing an application is not a single service. There will be a combination of multiple microservices. For example, if we take a bank application, okay, so in this bank application, we will have the user management service will be there. So that is user creations, user logins, user registration. So these are all comes under the user management. And then you will have the retail services and corporate services, retail banking and corporate banking. This is also one type of service. And inside that, you will have multiple services like loan services, credit card detail, card services like that. You will have so many number of services are there. And then you will have the wallet service. If you want to store, if you want to save some amount of money, you right now we are getting the wallet services. So a single application, whatever the application that you are seeing here, that application will be having multiple types of. I will go with ICICI Bank here. If you see, when I click on this ICICIBank.com, then automatically here you can see there are lots of services are available. So these are all services are combined, accumulated, and form an application. So this application has to be tested first. So in general, how many types of environments we will have? We will have the development environment. We will have the staging environment, or pre-prod or UAT environment. So there are so many other names are there. Production environment. These are the three types of environments that we are having across the whatever the application development that we are having. So now when we come to the development environment, the operations team has to understand the requirement, and they have to provision a server for running that application. So provisioning of the server comes under like what we have to do. So first of all, we need to purchase a server. So for purchasing the server, we need to contact OEM. So there will be OEM for every product. Okay. So we have to contact to the OEM. We have to get the quotation, and we need to get an approval from the finance team. We need to get the approval from the management that this is the cost of the server. And then we have to again reach out to the OEM and say that, okay, we are okay with the server configuration. Can you please send the server? So now they will send us a physical server. Once they send the physical server, we need to do the server hardening, and later we have to install the server onto the network, and we have to install the application. So this is going to take such a long process, like minimum 2 to 3 weeks. It is going to take the time to run the application. So which is very, very hectic at that particular point of time. Later, what happened? We got the virtual missions, virtualization, where we used to have a single server that will be divided into multiple logical missions, and we can run those virtual missions inside that physical mission, and make that what I can say. We can run the multiple application on that physical server. So then what happened? Now we got the cloud environment. So everything is coming very, very handy for the IT industry. And now as in the cloud environment, we can easily run the applications. We can easily turn out the infrastructure. We can easily create the servers, create the storage and everything. But this is the manual process. Whatever we are creating, okay, whatever we are creating, the servers or what I can say, storage, databases. So these are all comes under the manual process. So manually we have to log in the cloud environment, and then we have to check out each and everything, like whether we are going for installing an EC2. If I have to install an EC2, if I take a cloud environment called as AWS, I hope everyone is familiar with this. So when I take the cloud environment as AWS, if I want to create an instance is nothing but a server. So then five things are mandatory for me to create a server. The first one is AMI, that is nothing but the operating system image. And the second one is instance type, and the third one will be the what I can say key pair, and the fourth one will be subnets, and fifth one will be the security groups. So these are the different 5 things that are very mandatory for us to create the EC2 instance. Later we have to provide so many other things like tags and any user data, metadata, everything we have to provide for an EC2 instance. So if I want to create an EC2 instance, first of all, we need to have a network, and then we need to have the subnet, and then we need to have the routing tables, internet gateways, and then security groups, and finally we can create the EC2 instance. So manually it is very hectic for me. So if I have to create a single EC2 instance, that's fine. No problem. We can easily create the EC2 instance. But when we go ahead into the concept of creating multiple EC2 instances at a time, then there is a very big problem. So to overcome this problem, each cloud is having their own what I can say automation tools. For example, if I take AWS, we are having cloud formation. Okay, cloud formation. And for example, if I go for Azure, we are having ARM templates. Like that, we are having Azure resource management templates. Like that, we are having different kinds of automation, infrastructure automation tools, which are incorporated inside that cloud environment. But I want a single tool that will be helpful for creating the infrastructure in for the entire any cloud. If you take any cloud, I want to create the infrastructure, then we are going with a concept called as Terraform. So Terraform has become a very crucial tool nowadays, as it is a third-party tool and it can be incorporated or else it can be integrated with any cloud, and we can easily use that Terraform with anything. So Terraform is a third-party tool where we can introduce into the AWS, Azure, or else if you are having any on-premises environment also like VMware. So you are having an VMware ESXi server and you want to roll out the virtual machines. So with the help of Terraform, you can roll out the virtual machines inside the VMware also. So it will be very, very simple. So like that, we are having Terraform. So what we are going to do inside the Terraform? Terraform was actually introduced by HashiCorp, and it is having a language called as HCL. Okay, HashiCorp language. You don't need to worry about the language. It is not very, very difficult to learn. It's very simple to learn the Terraform languages, or else it is very simple to learn the Terraform code. So we don't need to worry about this, what I can say, writing the code and all things. Yes, you have to write the code for creating the infrastructure, and how we are going to create the infrastructure, that's a secondary thing. But the point is, what we are going to do is very important. Okay, so before I go into the entire concept of Terraform, are you clear with this concept of why we need to have the Terraform and why we need to go into the concepts of Terraform and all the things? So whatever we have discussed up to now, is everything clear? Any questions? This course is completely online. Any questions, guys?
No.
Okay. Okay. See, this is what Terraform is all about. Terraform is an infrastructure as a code that lets you build, change, and version the cloud and on-premises safely and efficiently. So, what is infrastructure as a code means? So, it means that instead of manually creating the resources, we declare the resource needed as code. And this code will handle the resource creation, updation, and deletion. So that is what I am trying to explain you. So Terraform is infrastructure as a code. So IaaC or else IAC also we can call it. So what we are going to do here is we are going to write the code in the HCL language, and that code will help us to create the infrastructure in the cloud environment or else in the on-premises environment also. And later, what we can do with this code means we can either create the infrastructure or else we can delete or we can update the infrastructure. And the most important thing with the Terraform is that Terraform is idempotent. Okay, so Terraform is idempotent. So what does this idempotent means? See, for example, if you take shell scripting, in shell scripting, what will happen means with shell scripting also we can create the infrastructure, but it doesn't understand whether the VPC is already created or else the infrastructure is already created or not. So it is not going to check out that. If we run the code again, it is going to create the another infrastructure. So I just want to show you that, and then we will go into the Terraform. What is that idempotent means? I will tell you about that. So first of all, let us write a small concept, like let us write a small shell script to create the VPC, or else just a single command to create the VPC. So now how we can create the VPC from my laptop? So that is very important. So can anybody know, did anybody know about AWS environment, or else can you explain me from my laptop? If anybody knows about the AWS, I'm not compelling that you need to tell me this. If you know, it's fine. If you don't know, then I will explain you. So from my laptop or else from your laptop, you have an AWS account. You need to create a VPC inside that AWS account. How you are going to create that? Did anybody know about that? Okay,
We
no
have to
problem.
log in into the Cloud Shell and execute the commands there.
Okay. We have to log in into the Cloud Shell. That means we need to log in into the AWS environment. Is that really required?
Otherwise, from our system, you open the command prompt and log in with the AWS credentials, and then execute the command.
Okay.
You
Basically,
can
yeah,
download
basically to
AWS CLI and you can configure with I am user,
Okay.
and then you can create a resource.
Fantastic. I see that there are a lot of people who know about the AWS very clearly. I'm very happy with that. Why? Because if you are having a very good knowledge on AWS, then we can go ahead into the concepts very easily. You will be able to easily understand the concept. But anyways, I just want to show you that so that we'll have a clear-cut understanding about what happens with the shell script, and later we will understand about what happens with the Terraform. Just give me a second. See, this is my AWS account in which I just logged as a root user. So the account which I just log in is my personal account. It's my root user's account. So what I can do here, I want to create an infrastructure. I want to create, or else I want to develop an infrastructure so that with the help of that infrastructure, with the help of that VPC, or else by creating a VPC, I can create the rest of the resources. VPC is very important. So why? Because it's an isolated and what I can say, it's a personal network for that particular organization or else for that particular company. So in the same manner, in this manner, what we are going to do here is we want to create a VPC. How we can create the VPC? So in my computer or else in my laptop, I install AWS CLI. Okay. So you can install AWS CLI in your laptop or else in your computer also. So how to install that? Simply go to Google AWS CLI. Okay. And then just to run this command, it will ask you to install that AWS CLI. So I just want to go for Windows operating system. Simply copy the command and provide it over here. So then it will go for the installation. In my computer, it is already installed. But if you want to install that, you can simply try out this particular option. So once you install the AWS CLI, then what I can do here is I need to communicate with my AWS account. So as an user, it's very mandatory. So you create, for example, you created a social media account. So to log in into your social media account, you need to have the username and password. In the same manner, for example, Facebook is there in your phone, Facebook or Instagram. Nowadays, nobody is using those. But anyways, that's fine. Or else professionally, if I have to talk, if you are having the Outlook application, Outlook for sending the emails. So in your mobile also, you will have the Outlook application. To access your emails, you need to log in with the username and password. So here also, I am having my application called as, I'm having my application called as, what is that? AWS CLI. Okay, as I am having AWS CLI, here you can see AWS hyphen hyphen version. Excuse me. It is installed. Next, what I'm going to do here is, I need to have the credentials to log in into this account. So if I need to have the credentials, I need to create an user. For example, there is Anil. There is a user called as Anil in my company. He is working as an architect. So I want to provision, or else I want to provide the particular permissions for that Anil user, and so that he will be able to do certain things with my infrastructure. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a user called as Anil. Already the user is there. Now I need to provide the permissions for that user. Okay, or else let me do one thing. I will create the user. I don't want to confuse you here. Okay, create user. I will create the user called as Anand. Next, and right now I won't provide any permissions. I just want to tell you about how the users will interact, or else how the users will communicate with the AWS account. So right now I have an user called as Anand, and this Anand user doesn't have any permission. So what we have done here means, I am having an AWS account. Inside the AWS account, I am having an user. Okay, I created a user. In this AWS account, I am having so many resources. What kind of resources I can have? I can create EC2 instances. I can create S3 buckets. I can create databases. I can create what else? Data analytics tools. I can use them, or else WAF. Like that, there are so many different kinds of services are available. And as well as from a user, if the user is having IAM permissions, he can create another user also. We will see in detail when we go into the concept. So like that, these are the services. So among those services, IAM is one of the service where the users are available. Okay, so in this IAM, I created a user called as Anand. So I have my computer, or else Anand is having his computer or laptop or workstation. So now what Anand has to do? So in this IAM, we need to generate an credentials so that the Anand user will be able to log in into the AWS account, into the AWS account with his account, and then he will be able to access the resources. So let me go to the security credentials. Either you can enable the console access in the sense accessing the AWS account through the browser. Okay, either it might be Chrome or else or Internet Explorer, any browser, Edge browser. So we can access that. So that is called as console access. And the next one is access key and secret access key. So this is what we are going to use for my command line interface. Okay. Next, and create access key and secret access key. So these are the security credentials which are helpful for Anand user to log in into my AWS account directly through the CLI. So how we can use them? So copy this access key, go back to your PowerShell, give the command AWS configure, and provide the access key over here and secret access key. Region is default. You can leave it as US East 1 and as well as in the JSON format. I just need to change it. One second. By mistake, we have this. 1 second. US East 1. Okay, good. All right. So right now we have the user account configured. Now what I can do, AWS EC2 describe hyphen VPCS hyphen region US hyphen East hyphen 1. So when I give this now, if the user is having the permissions, I will be able to get the details. But right now, if you see unauthorized operation, when calling describe VPCs, you want to read the VPCs from the command line, but it is saying that unauthorized operation, which means that the user doesn't have any permissions to read the VPCs or else to get the details of the VPCs. So now what I will do, I will provide the permissions for this user. So I will go back here, add permissions, and I will add the policy called as EC2 full access. EC2 full access, Amazon EC2 full access. Right now the user is having the complete access to handle or else to get the details of the VPC. Let me show you that. AWS describe VPC hyphen region US East 1. Hold on. There you go. I got the VPC details. Now with the shell script, what I can do here is I can create the resources. What I can do, AWS EC2 create hyphen VPCS hyphen region US hyphen East hyphen 1. Okay. Create VPC hyphen CIDR. Did anybody know what is meant by CIDR? 10.70.0.0/16 and 1 second. Create. Okay, so I just tried to create a VPC here. Now, if you see, a VPC got created with 10.70.0.0/16 in US East 1. So if you go to the VPCs here, in US East 1, we have a VPC created. There you go. So this is the VPC 10.70.0.0/16. If you see the VPC ID 06419. So here you can see what is the VPC ID 06419 at the end. So the VPC is created, but how shell script knows that already the VPC is created? So we don't have a personalized file to understand to store the resources created by shell script. Shell will create VPC. Shell script will create the resources. Shell script will create the EC2 instances. But it have it doesn't have it that these are created. So for that reason, the shell script cannot maintain the shell script configuration. Okay, so these infrastructure I have created, it doesn't know about that. So when I run the command again, it will create the example. If I go with AWS to create hyphen cider block, and if I give the command, it doesn't say anything. Like already you have the VPC, you cannot create the VPC. So it will create another VPC here. If you go here and check out that, so it again created another VPC, which means that we have the duplication. When we are working with the shell script, we are having the duplication. So that particular concept or else the duplication of the resources will be avoided with the help of Terraform. How we can avoid this duplication? Already, if the resources are created, Terraform will have an very important file, or else I can call it as a heart of Terraform, and that file is called as what I can say. So we have a very important file in the Terraform. Okay, so that file will be helpful for us to understand or else to provide the infrastructure related details. Already this particular infrastructure is created, so you don't need to create the infrastructure. So with the help of that, the Terraform becomes idempotent. Idempotent means, okay, okay, idempotent means the meaning of that is already if the resource is created, there is no requirement to create the same resource again. So I already have the information in my state file. Okay, I already have the information in the state file. So or else I can call it as Terraform state file. So which is a very, very important file. If you miss the file, Terraform will completely go blind. So if the file is missed, if the Terraform state file is missed, the entire Terraform will go blind. Again, it will recreate the infrastructure. Or else it will say that already the infrastructure is provided, is there. Or else if there is any infrastructure, predefined infrastructure is there, it will try to delete that. So it is very important that state file should be there. If the state file is missing, the entire infrastructure will be, it's completely messy thing. So I don't want to happen that. So for that reason, we need to keep the state file in a very safe location. I will explain you where we have to create this. We can create this in the S3 bucket and we can work with the state file very, very easily. So what we are going to do, I hope now you understand what is meant by idempotent. So idempotent means you don't need to work multiple times. You don't need to duplicate the resource creation. Simply, you will have the information updated in the state file. If any new resources are creating, then it will create the resources. If already we have the resources configured, then Terraform will check out in the Terraform state file and says that already the resource is available, so you don't need to create it. Okay, so that is what we called as idempotent. So what Google says about that? Okay. Denoting an element of a set which is unchanged in value when multiplied or otherwise operated by itself. Okay. Or else what I can call it as, that is what unchanged value. If there is any resources there and you don't need to, already it is configured and you don't want to change it, then that resource related information will be available in the state file and you can configure the rest of the resources. Okay. So that is called as idempotent. Now how Terraform will work? Before I go into the concept of how Terraform will work, is everything clear for you up to now? Whatever we have discussed, what is meant by idempotent, what is meant by Terraform? Any questions here? Any
No.
questions?
No.
No, we are good.
Okay,
It's clear.
good. Now let us understand about the workflow of Terraform. So how we are going to work with the Terraform, what we have to do. First and foremost thing, very simple thing, we need to write the code. Okay, write code for creating the resources. Okay, and then we need to have the proper permissions to create the infrastructure. Before we do that, we can do validating the code. We need to validate the code, whether whatever the code that we have written is properly written. Do we have any errors in the code? So we need to validate that code. After the validation, then we can go for dry run. So Terraform will provide this. One of the best feature is that it will provide a dry run. So dry run, or else what I can call it as, it is called as a Terraform plan. So whatever the code that you have written, what are the resources that can be created with the help of this code? If there are any bugs or else any errors that is going to be shown in this dry run itself. So dry run is a form that will be very, very helpful for you to understand the infrastructure. Whatever the infrastructure is about to create, that can be understood with the help of Terraform plan. Okay, or else we can do the dry run. So in the dry run, it will be completely showing what are the resources that are going to be created, or else what are the resources that are already available. And finally, we can go for the applying or else creating the resources. When we go for Terraform apply, then automatically the resources will be created. So the first and foremost thing, what are the commands? So first of all, we need to initiate the Terraform. For that, we need to use Terraform init and then Terraform format, Terraform validate, Terraform plan, and Terraform apply. So these are the mostly used commands in the Terraform. So these 5 commands only we are going to use. Apart from that, internally we will have so many another ways of writing the infrastructure. I mean, writing the code. But as of now, we will be using these 5 commands. And then we will have another command called as if you want to remove the entire infrastructure, then we are having Terraform destroy. Okay, these are the most important commands. Now, whenever we apply the configuration, automatically what is going to happen? The Terraform will generate a state file, and that is called as Terraform state file. Inside that state file, you will have all the resources. So if you see here, it will show the flow. We are going to write a configuration file and Terraform will be there, and then we need automatically it can generate the provider plugin, and then it will communicate with the AWS. So now if you see Terraform workflow, there are 4 stages: write code in HCL, initiate Terraform, and plan and apply. Plan means nothing but the dry run. So when you apply that, then automatically a state file will be generated. And most important thing here is this provider plugin. So whenever we are writing code in Terraform, we need to tell the Terraform that we are going to work with this particular provider. If you are working with AWS, you need to provide the AWS environment. If you are working with Azure, you need to provide the provider as Azure or else ARM. Or else if you are working with the on-premises environment, there will be a separate provider for the virtualization. So I am not going to show you how you have to write the code today itself, but from tomorrow onwards we will learn. So tomorrow will be the last demo for you. Okay, this time we are providing only 2 demos, and then we are going ahead into the concept of Terraform. So now if you see here, so install the Visual Studio Code, which will be helpful for you. And then what I can do here is I can go with provider.tf. So we are going to write the files, and the file extension will be tf. Okay. So before we write the code, please install the extensions. So if you go to the extensions, in Visual Studio Code, install Terraform extension. Okay. So install these Terraform extensions. And I will install this also. One thing is installed and the other one is getting installed. That's fine. Now we need to tell Terraform that who is the provider. Okay. So here you have to provide provider. So who is the provider? AWS environment. So I just give like this. Okay. I'm not going to specify the region. I'm not going to specify any credentials right now. So I'm just going to give the provider. When I give the provider over here, what I can do here is I'm just opening the terminal here itself. I will give the command. I want to initiate the Terraform. So I want to create the infrastructure right now. So the provider is AWS. So initiate the Terraform with AWS provider plugins. Why? Because so each cloud will have their own set of resources will be there. So single plugin is not sufficient. For AWS cloud, we need to have the plugins, different kinds of plugins, VPC kinds of plugins, and EC2 instances. Or else for EC2 instances, we need to have a different kinds of plugins. So all those plugins will be created with the .terraform folder. So see here, right now we are having provider.tf file is there. So when I say terraform init, then it will install, or else that will download the plugins and install the plugins with the version. So we can manage the Terraform version, and as well as we can manage the AWS plugins, or also AWS plugins version also. That I will tell you in the next session. But as of now, it is trying to install the AWS plugins. Why it is installing AWS plugins? Because here we have provided the provider as AWS. If you provide the provider as Azure, then it will try to download that Azure plugins. For VMware, it will download the VMware plugins. So like that, what is going to happen? So Terraform is going to download the plugins, and then what we can do, we can create the resources. So here you can see you are having .terraform folder is created. Inside that .terraform folder, you will have all the Terraform related, that particular provider related plugins will be available. So the next one is, I want to create, once the provider is completed, I want to create a basic infrastructure. So if I want to create a basic infrastructure, then you can go with the resource AWS underscore VPC. I want to create a VPC, and that VPC will be, you can give anything like demo hyphen VPC. And then what are required for creating a VPC? One is CIDR block. I'll give like 10.80.0.0/16. And then what I can do, enable DNS hostnames is equal to true, and tags. What is the name of that particular resource? Okay, name is equal to what I can do here is, for example, development hyphen VPC. Dev VPC is the name of the VPC. So this is the resource block which I can create, or else which I can write. Simple language. It is not a very difficult language. So resource, if you want to create a resource, you need to provide the resource as a tag, or else a resource, what I can say, resource instruction, and then which type of resources you want to create. I want to create AWS VPC, or else if you want to create the AWS subnet now, so then what you can do, AWS underscore subnet. Okay, so like that, whatever the resource that you want to create, you have to specify that. So here I have specified I want to create the VPC. So the VPC name is demo VPC, and in this CIDR block is this, and the host name and dev hyphen VPC. Now already I have a user configured in my laptop, or else already the user is configured in my computer. So simply what I can do, with the help of that particular user account, I can run the code over here. So see here, what I will do, go back to new terminal, Terraform FMT, which means format. Okay, and then Terraform, once Terraform format is completed, then we can validate the code. Validate. Okay, so it is going to check whatever the resource configuration that we have created is correct or not. And then Terraform plan. When I give Terraform plan, here you can see terraform.tf state file is generated. Automatically it got generated. So it is only a plan, so automatically it got deleted. Planning means dry run. So what is going to happen here? So the user is trying to create a VPC, and that VPC will have the CIDR block as 10.80.0.0. And then in US East 1, he wants to create the VPC, and the VPC name is dev VPC. Here you need to understand two things. Everyone will confuse that. So this is the resource name which is understandable by the Terraform. So I said, so whenever we create the resources will be stored in the state file. So that state file, whatever the resources that are stored in the state file, they will have a name. So this name, whatever the name that you are seeing here, this name is the name that is understandable by your Terraform. And this is the name which is actually given to your resource. Okay. So now what I can do, Terraform apply. So when I say Terraform apply, it will create the infrastructure. So before it is creating the infrastructure, a state file got created. So yes, do you really want to create the resource? Yes. Okay, so it is creating the VPC. Let's see whether the VPC is getting created or not. I don't want these two VPCs, so let me remove them. There you go. Dev VPC is created with 1080.00/16. So I'll delete these two VPCs which are not required. Here you can see we have the development VPC which got created. Automatically in the state file here you can see what is generated. Okay, Terraform version and serial number and what is the CIDR block, and then here you can see VPC ID and in which region it got created and everything. So now if you again try to what I can say, if you again try to run the configuration, then what is going to happen? Terraform plan, it will say that already you have the existing infrastructure is there, so you there is nothing to create. Look at that, it is just refreshing, no changes, your infrastructure matches the configuration. Terraform has compared the real infrastructure against your configuration, which means that it will check out the state file and say that already whatever the resource that you want to create, it is already created, so you don't need to create anything. For example, if I create another block over here, demo VPC2, then it will try to create another VPC. Okay, 81.0 like that. Okay, then Terraform plan. This time it will say that we can create the resource like that. So what is going to happen in the backend means, so just if you provide the if there are any changes in the code, then only it will say that there is a particular change in the code. If there are no changes in the code, then automatically it will say that you already have the configuration done, so you don't need to uh, do any changes. Okay, so this is how the state file will be working. If the state file is not there, no, then that will become a very big problem. So I have removed the configuration over here. Now again, if I try to execute that particular command, if I try to execute the command means it is going to recreate the configuration again. Terraform plan. So this time again it will try to create. Okay, this time it will try to create the infrastructure. Why? Because in the state file nothing is there. Look at that. It will say that it will compare in the state file. Okay, state file is very, very, very important in the Terraform. Whatever the source code or else whatever the code that has been generated, everything, I mean, whatever the resources that have been generated, everything will be updated in the state file. So we will see in detail about what is state file and how we are going to work with the state file in the upcoming sessions and with all the resources we will create. Okay, so now we are going to use AWS. Okay, so my entire lectures or else my entire training will be happen in the AWS environment. That is the first thing. And the second thing here is you will get the videos and the record and the documents as well. And then what else I have to I need to answer. So the session will be at 7 a.m. Every day you will have the session at 7 a.m. So only 10 days of session. Tomorrow you will have another session at 7 a.m. and then we will wrap up the session and wrap up the demos. Okay. And nothing is a prerequisite. If you have a very good understanding about AWS, that's more than enough. This is one thing. Syllabus. I'm not going to give a very in detail syllabus. So, but in Terraform, what you are going to do here is we will be working with the Terraform basics, how to create the basic infrastructure in the AWS environment and how we can work with that. And Terraform functions, Terraform modules, Terraform enterprise. Okay, these are the topics that we are going to cover in the Terraform. So only these things, no. If we go in detail, we are having so many subcategories. I'm not going to show you all those things. Once we go into the concepts, then I will explain you about what is what. And then we will go with the Jenkins. In Jenkins, we will be working with Jenkins introduction, installing the Jenkins on an Ubuntu operating system, and what I can say, master slave architecture, and then we will work with the jobs. Okay, how to write the jobs, how to write the Jenkins file. So Jenkins file and multi-stage Jenkins file config. I mean, okay, multi-stage environment Jenkins files. Everything we are going to discuss in the Jenkins. I'm just giving a blueprint for you. This is not the entire syllabus. Once we go into that concepts, you will understand there are a lot of things that we have to cover in the Terraform and Jenkins. Okay. So as of now, that's it from my end. If you have any further questions, you can ask me.
So do we need to install Terraform?
Terraform installation is not. Yeah, I will tell you how we can do it with the binary. Okay. So we have a Terraform binaries. Tomorrow I will tell you how to install that binary, how to run that binary. So it's simple. You need to download that binary and say it in the environmental variable saying that this is the path where you have to look after the Terraform binary, and then we can work it out with that. So it's just a 2 minutes concept. Or else
Yeah,
let's see.
yeah, I got it, got it. Because I mean, just is we need to download it, or we need to, I mean, we need to install it, or just we need to set the path by using the
And setting the
command.
path.
Yeah, setting the path itself. Okay.
Okay.
And one more question is, so
Mm,
when you provision the VPC, you have used
mm,
cider block and the name of the
mm.
VPC. So how would
Yeah.
I know that what are all the mandatory things I need to give while provisioning the environment?
It's very simple. If you want to create a VPC, so this is not
Not only
mandatory.
VPC, any resource. Do we need
Yeah,
any documentation for that in the
no,
to see anything anywhere? Like these are the mandatory things we need to give like that.
not required. No documentation is required.
Okay.
Have you worked with AWS environment?
I know AWS. I
Mm,
deployed few applications manually,
mm,
created
mm,
few VPCs, and provisioned few EC2 environments, and then deployed the Java applications.
mm, mm.
So now I wanted to automate that one. So just if you say like these are all the things, I will brush up once again. That's why I'm asking.
Okay. If you see here, I am not going to tell you, but there are certain settings which are optional. We will go into that when we are creating the resources from where we are going to get the code. You don't need to write the code specifically. You can simply get the code and work with the code. Okay. So from
Sure,
where we have to get it and how we have to write it, I will tell you in the next session. We have the entire code.
sure,
We'll
sure,
write that. Okay.
sure. So,
One thing.
and one more thing, when we run the dry run, it is just going to check whether this resource is already provisioned or not. That's it, right? If it is
Yeah.
not provisioned, it is going to provision. If it is already provisioned, it is going to display the message saying it's already provisioned, right?
Yes, yes. There are no changes in the infrastructure. Already it is created.
And also, is it going
Hmm.
to check by name of the resource or with the CDR block also? For example,
Name of the resource.
only name of the.
So yeah, in the state file, I said, so whatever the name that we have given, it will go to the state file. Inside the state file here, you can see. So AWS VPC name, demo VPC is there. Under that, whatever the cider blocks and all the things, it will check in the state file with the help of this name. So that's why the names are very important in the Terraform. Okay.
And also, it is specific to region, right?
Yeah, it is specific to region.
Okay.
Here, when we create the user at the time of providing the access key and secret access key, we have specified the region. No? So
Yeah,
from
yeah,
there, it will take it.
got
Okay.
it. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, very good question here I got. So how we have to install the Terraform? I did not say that. So go for the install terraform.io. So this is the URL. Go to install and come down. If you are using the Windows operating system, just simply download that zip file. It is 1.13.5. And then extract the zip file. I think you know about this, but I'm just saying you how to set up the environmental variables. So copy this Terraform And in my C drive, I have a folder called as tools. Here I will put it. Okay. Then what I can do, copy the path, go to the system properties. Okay, go to the system properties. Or else you can simply go to sysdm.cpl. There is a command called as sysdm.cpl. In the run prompt, go to advanced, environmental variables, path. I am going with the system environmental variables. Or else you can set up with the user environmental variables also. Edit, new, provide the path over here, save it, and then open the PowerShell. Now here you can see Terraform version. Okay, so Terraform is installed. The version is 1.13.5. Okay, that's it. So you don't need to go with installing next install. You don't need to wait for that. Simply download the binary, which is of some 28 to 30 MB, unzip it, save it in a particular folder, give that folder as a path, and run the Terraform configuration. Okay. Now, do you understand how we can use the binaries?
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
So
Any
will-
questions?
Yeah,
Yeah,
will Terraform supports other clouds like GCP, Oracle?
Yeah, every cloud it will
Anything.
support. We have the just you need to specify the provider. Who is the provider for our resources? This time I showed you AWS.
The
If you are having Google,
respective
it's
resource information we need to provide.
yes. You just need to provide that provider plugin is important. Okay, if you provide the provider, then it will download the plugins. If you see, I said when I give the provider AWS, it has downloaded all the plugins related to the AWS environment in the .terraform directory. So then it will understand, okay, the user is want to work with AWS. So I need to get the resources that are available in AWS like VPC, EC2 instances, databases, S3 buckets. It will get all those plugins and it will run whenever you give the resources. If you want to create a resource, it will check in the plugins and then it will install that configuration. Okay. Got it?
yeah, are we going to use VS Code only for coding?
Yeah.
Is there
Visual Studio Code.
Visual Studio?
No, I'm not going for any IDE. I will be working. I'm very happy with Visual Studio Code. You can simply install Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, in real
Okay.
time also we are using these or
Yeah. You can use in the real time. So whatever we are saying here, it's just totally real time only. You can use in the real time also. Anything else, guys?
So how long the course duration?
It will be 10 days.
Only Terraform?
Terraform and Jenkins.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Only
Yeah.
how many days per week?
Every day.
Saturday and
It is
Sunday also you're going to come.
Saturday and Sunday also. Yes. Every day.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
Terraform 5 classes, Jenkins 5 classes, right?
Mostly Terraform will be there. So
Mhm.
Jenkins are also will be there. So Terraform, I cannot say that will be completed in 5 classes. Okay, I won't say that. Terraform is very, very vast. Okay, so I said you 10 days. It might be go like 2 weeks also, depending on the content that we are consuming. Okay, so why? Because modules is not very easy, functions is not very easy. So Terraform itself is a very big concept. So we are completely focusing on the Terraform infrastructure as a code, and in incorporation with that, how we can integrate Terraform with Jenkins. So that's why I took the Jenkins also. So Jenkins will be like somewhere like 4 or 5 sessions. Terraform is the main theme for us right now. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. I hope you understand the concept. So tomorrow we will meet and discuss about the most of the Terraform concepts. So have a nice day, and we'll be to the next session, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
Chaitanya.
Thank you. Thank you all.